use of technology is really important as part of accounting education because the skill sets of our students and the skills that they'll need to be using in the future is changing. So technology is integrated into their everyday lives. I walk around my lecture theatres and my classrooms and I notice students who are on their tablets, on their smartphones, on their laptops. And most will have the textbook or their homework answers prepared electronically, but I also see them on Facebook and on Twitter. So I think being able to engage with them through the mediums that they use, through social media, is a really important part of what I do moving forward in terms of interacting with them and reaching them as students. I think social media allows us to capture contact with a lot of students that perhaps might feel uncomfortable about coming to us for consultations. One thing that I do use a lot of is small videos. So often students will have the same sorts of questions repeated at consultations by various students over the years. And so what I've done is for those most difficult questions that they've have trouble with, I do make small videos. So I use a document camera and Camtasia, a video editing software, to create videos, and then I post those on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Amanda Loves to Audit, and that allows students to have little snippets when they get stuck on something for homework. I might remind them to look at a particular video, and the feedback that I've had from students about those videos is really positive. That often when they're studying and they get stuck on something, they'll play a video and then they can use that to ask me further questions. In terms of social media, I have a number of different things that we do in Assurance Services and Audit, and I use social media because I'm a big user of social media. So I use Facebook and I use Twitter and I use a voice social media format called VoiceBite in my everyday life. I've always got my smartphone or my tablet somewhere with me. So for my students, I want auditing and the study of auditing to be an integrated experience. I want it to be part of their everyday lives. Now it's difficult to do that because students obviously have multiple competing pressures between work, university and home, but contacting them and connecting to them through social media allows me to peek in or break into their lives while they're at the grocery store, they're on the bus, or it's late at night. So I use Twitter as my main tool, and so if I'm reading the newspaper online and I see an article, I just press the tweet button through any of the major newspapers. I can create a tweet to that newspaper article immediately, send that out to my students or my followers. That'll go through to my Facebook account as well, and then students who might not be connected on social media can also access that information through Blackboard. So we've created, or we use a widget that links through the Twitter feed through to Blackboard so that students don't miss out regardless. So social media makes it easier for me. There's no copying and pasting of newspaper articles, creating announcements on Blackboard. I just simply do it all at once, and this means that if I see something interesting, I can connect with them straight away. I don't need to think about waiting to do it when I get to the office or when I get home if I notice something on the train. So connecting to them 24/7 is, I think, a really great way to be available. Students ask questions on Twitter, they ask questions on Facebook. Often if I'm sitting on my lounge watching television of an evening, I might have Facebook open, and during an ad break I might answer a few questions. Now that obviously isn't something that everybody is comfortable doing, but for me, teaching auditing is a passion and it's a big part of my life, and so I use social media to help students feel that passion that I have for teaching and for their learning experience. I use social media really extensively because social media is where students tend to live. So I walk around my classroom and I can see them sneakily on Facebook or on Twitter. So it's much easier to connect with them in that particular format. And then that allows my previous students as well to connect with my current students. So often I might ask a question and previous students might chime in with their thoughts as well as my current students. So it enhances their learning experience. I think it brings additional resources to bear besides my experience, but also connects them with those students who are out there living what we teach in the classroom. I make small videos on YouTube to assist students with topics that might be a little bit more difficult and that we usually will cover in our lectures, but often we have insufficient time to go into a great amount of depth. And often we have a large proportion of international students where English is not their first language, and yes, they can read the textbooks and the textbooks do include explanations, but often my hand-drawn animation videos will often show students step by step how to understand a complex task or a complex concept. And rather than explain that same concept over and over and over again during consultations, I find that the videos allows me to refer a student quickly to a video, and often that will answer their question a lot of the time, and that frees me up to help somebody else with a potentially more pressing or more difficult matter. So the videos allow the students to work at their own speed. They can study where they like, when they like, and we've found that the students quite often use the videos as a review tool. We also have lecture recordings and lecture screencasts where we capture both the audio and video that students will see in a lecture theatre. And that, especially for non-English speaking students, allows them to stop, pause. I might refer to another video in more depth. They might go and check that out, come back to the lecture slides, and it gives them that flexibility to be able to match the lecture slides with the audio. So it's more than just a recording. We have actual screencasts for students to use. Now those aren't made available on YouTube, we just have those for students on Blackboard, but all of my other short 5 or 10 minute videos are available on YouTube for students. And we find that students are often referring them to their friends to use from other universities, and I've had emails from students all around the world appreciating the work that we put into these short teaching videos. So I think the benefit for students in terms of using social media and using YouTube is that they have control over when they access information. So when they open Facebook or when they open Twitter, they can see the latest from me. Or when they open Blackboard, the YouTube videos allow them to study when they can, and that allows them to fit in with work and other responsibilities. I always joke with my students that if you're ever stuck waiting in a nightclub queue on a Saturday night, just pop your headphones in and do a bit of revision related to auditing just by downloading videos off YouTube. But my students tell me from just their informal feedback when I talk to them at consultations or in class that they really enjoy the videos, that often they'll have playlists running of the concepts that they find most difficult, and they might listen to those a few times over. While they're reading a textbook or they're doing homework questions again, they might play our lecture recordings and screencasts in the background to help reinforce their knowledge. So I think they get a lot out of the contact I have with them through social media and also with the YouTube content that we provide. I think the impact on student learning varies between individual students. So for those students who are really keen to learn about auditing and are keen to immerse themselves, and they take advantage of all the resources that I provide through Twitter, through Facebook, through YouTube and through Blackboard, we get a lot of two-way interaction and they find it's really beneficial. So when I ask students what the best thing or the most useful thing that's helped them study for their mid-semesters or their finals, they often say, oh look, the videos, hands down. So from what I can see in reading of exam scripts and my discussions with students, is that we're certainly reaching a lot of students who perhaps in the past wouldn't come to consultation to ask a question. So for those students, we're helping them get a deeper understanding of the concepts and improving their learning experience. For students who were always going to come to a consultation, they use the videos as well to enhance what they're already doing. But all of these additional resources, I think, have overall improved the quality of output that we definitely see in our examination papers in terms of the writing, the judgmental decisions, the justifications and the explanations that we see for students. We're certainly moving away from responses where we see students making common mistakes because of rote learning. We're seeing a lot deeper understanding in our exam scripts.